There comes a time when watching anime, you find yourself in this moment of intense excitement or happiness or euphoria, if you will. And as you watch the show, you felt as if you were on this extraordinary adventure. You feel as if you had a connection to the characters as the world presented to you, like you were inside of the story yourself. And it was an experience that it was hard to explain and describe in your own words. But now that the show is over, what do? You look around, and people are moving on with their lives, completely unaware of the world you have seen and the experience that you have felt. If you know what I speak of, and these words that I'm presenting to you, then you know what it means to finish an amazing anime. But not just anime, you can get this experience from anything, as if another show, for example, be it an adventure, mystery, sci-fi, or something beyond our imagination and comprehension. However, the story can be a little more simple. It could be like a story that you've seen or heard of before, but not in this particular way. Ladies, gentlemen, otakus, and anime lovers everywhere, I'm Christian Martinez, and I am doing an anime review on an anime close and dear to my heart. I became a huge fan very quickly. I am, of course, talking about the anime Akame Ga Kill. Let's begin. Akame Ga Kill first started off as a manga and was written by Takahiro and was illustrated by Mr. Tetsuya Toshihiro and was released to the public on April 22nd, 2010. The anime, however, was directed by Tomoki Kobayashi and written by Tomoko Izuwa. The series aired on July 6th, 2014 and ended on December 4th in the same year. And since this is my first review on any anime at all that I've ever done, I'll be going over through the characters, story, sound, and of course, my final conclusion. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, otakus, anime lovers everywhere, let's get started on Akame Ga Kill. Welcome to our alternate universe. It doesn't mention it, but let's get started, shall we? This world is ruled by evil and gluttonous prime minister who manipulates the young emperor and keeps its citizens in line with fear, death, and violence. The setting of this universe has a combination of other fantasy-like settings, almost like it belongs to pre-industrial times, but with a hint of modern magic. The story follows that 1,000 years ago, the emperor who ruled the capital was coming to realize that one day he was going to die, but wanted to protect his kingdom for years to come. Realizing the weapons could be passed down from generation to generation, he gave the order to create weapons of utmost intellect. These weapons were known as imperial arms. These weapons are made by only the finest and rarest materials that cannot be reproduced to this day. There are a total of 48 imperial arms and take shapes of many weapons, such as a sword, a flamethrower, a suit of armor, a rifle, a makeup kit, a dog, or a giant motherfucking Gundam. Sadly, over time, at least half of the imperial arms have disappeared throughout the land. However, it is said those who possess imperial arms can only kill others with imperial arms. And here we meet Night Raid, a small group of assassins whose purpose is to be rid of the Prime Minister and all those in power who follow him. Each member of Night Raid has their own imperial arms that they acquire through various means, and as such, they use said imperial arms to defeat countless amounts of powerful bodyguards and soldiers that the minister controls. As the series goes on, Night Raid in many cases fights or defeats a variety of imperial arms users, plus the goal to save the kingdom by removing the minister from the picture. However, we don't know what their plan is after that. With each new episode, or sometimes a few new episodes, it introduces a new character and they're super mega ultra badass. You can't defeat this imperial arms. With that being said, it puts a lot of focus on each different fighting scenes and kind of reminds me of who would win type of battles that, you know, each otaku takes in the real world. Like, this can defeat this with Bankai, or he can defeat him with Rasengan. It sort of reminds me of those, you know, who would win type battles and that otakus would normally talk about. One thing I am proud of is that they didn't have more than one character a lot stronger than what the plot demanded. But it's simply, we're introduced to all these different groups of characters and different names and all who they are. But only one is mentioned to be so powerful that they cannot be defeated. But no matter how you look at it, the majority of the characters on both sides can and will die. A small problem I had while watching the characters' death scenes in this anime, it's not that they exist, but it's how our characters respond to them. That's the small thing that kind of got to me. When one of the characters dies, I noticed that at the end of the episode, one of the characters tries to lighten the mood back by cracking a joke and, trying to brighten the mood and bring it back to its lax feeling. That kind of just irritated me just a little bit, but it wasn't all that big of a deal, really. The show was not all serious, and true that some serious scenes were fine in the show, but going from stick comedy back to serious emotions and back again is somewhat a little irritating. Which brings me to the main character in question. Believe it or not, even though the show is named after the lovely dark-haired, red-eyed assassin Akame, she sadly is not our main protagonist. But hey, I'm not one to complain. But who better to fill those protagonist shoes than our main hero himself, Tatsumi? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I kinda didn't like Tatsumi at first, because he just looked like one of those boring characters in the series, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna hate this guy, and he's not gonna be any interest at all. Why should I care who he is? But as I began to watch the series later on, I sort of began to like him a little bit more. Mostly because the way he matures and grows around the characters that he's with. Like Bulat, for example. Bulat was, let's say, a little weird at first, but Tatsumi began to like him and, look up to him as both a mentor and a big brother. I will say that now I'm kind of glad that Tatsumi was our main character, but even though I did question him at first, he's not really all that bad once you get to know him later on in the series. But since Tatsumi is also the main character, we get to see how he sees the antagonists through his eyes. Our disposition towards some of the characters in the show are near Tatsumi's own disposition. It's like his friends are our friends, his enemies are our enemies. But sadly, since Tatsumi has that nice guy characteristic or that character background, it's hard to tell whether or not if a character is really good or bad. The show focuses a lot on morality, and characters on both sides are similar in many ways, but it all depends on who they're fighting for. I mean, even the Jaegers, the Kingdom Special Task Force, are nearly similar to Night Raid in many ways, but they just follow orders from the evil Prime Minister and the Ice Queen herself as Death. Morality sets the balance between good and evil. Like you can say that the Jaegers are the villains, for they do the role of the antagonists. With the majority of 3 exceptions, most of the Jaeger members are generally good people, or at least as good as some of the Night Raid members. The 3 exceptions, of course, will be Dr. Stylish, who's like a really fucked up Dr. Frankenstein and uses people, and when they're useless, he just throws them away. The General herself as Death, who has no mercy at all when it comes to killing people whatsoever in the show. And the character of Seri Ubiquitous, who's just a crazy psychotic bitch. Akame Ga Kill has some intense, awesome, major action moments, and with all those different characters and weapons in the show, they all can't have the same fighting style. Not all the characters just use swords, so the character animations have to be varied in extreme ways, and Akame Ga Kill delivers on that perfectly. Even knowing that a character is going to die, the main question is how they're going to die. And I truly have to give credit to whoever was in charge of these characters' death scenes in very unique and interesting ways. I give you credit and very unique creativity. Also, 2 major thumbs up for the animators for the amount of blood and gore in the show. This is the part where it gets really, really good. When a character dies, they die so bad that they are never coming back. The thing is, I can't really speak for an English dub because 2 things. 1, there isn't one, and 2, we have no confirmation from North America's licensor Sentai Filmworks that there will ever be one. I will admit, however, I am kind of curious to see if they do it in English dub, how the characters would sound and how we would respond to that. Being an otaku, of course, I've noticed that some animes do not do a good job at English dub. That is why, if you do it in English dub, I pray that you do a good job doing it. Even though the voice acting and all the sounds were perfect, the soundtrack, however, is astonishing, because 1 alone, it sounds so goddamn amazing! One of my personal favorite songs in Akame Ga Kill would have to be the second ending of the show, Silver Crow by Tsuki Kari. It has a feeling of sadness that the show reveals, which is why, that's just why I love this song. It has that feeling and emotion that it brings in towards the show. And I highly recommend it for you guys. At least give it a try and listen to it. It's really, really good. The series didn't really stick with the serious tone, but even though the majority of the plot totally called for it. Though the series did have its serious moments, and it got way serious, I'm kind of glad they didn't go too serious, as I know they could have done like they did in the manga. The show always had me guessing on like who's going to die, and when we finally come up to that scene, I was like, well, that was unexpected now, wasn't it? I guess what I was looking for was a little bit more balance to the show, really. That and an ending didn't feel like a cop-out. It felt like the final few episodes felt a bit rushed, and the character fights that did happen, kinda wish they didn't, and I felt that they were a little miscast sometimes. I was kinda hoping for a proper ending, but I'm not sure if they had enough in the budget to make a proper ending, or if they thought this was a good way to end the series. At the very least, I wish they didn't have 3 certain character deaths happen towards the very end, but they at least deserved more than what they got. And now, with all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Akame Ga Kill with a recommendation to rather stream it than buy, just so you can get that whole feel for it. It's a perfect choice if you're looking for something new and exciting to watch, and with all of its characters, I'm sure you'll find one of them to be enjoyable. And with all that going on and so forth, I give Akame Ga Kill a whopping score of 8.9 out of 10. At the time, Akame Ga Kill has been licensed by North America's Sentai Filmworks, with the video streaming release coming soon. Or if you wish to stream it, you can also watch it on crunchyroll.com for free if you have access to that site. And there you are, ladies and gentlemen, Akame Ga Kill. If you're looking for something new and enjoyable to watch, I recommend this show. I will not sugarcoat it. There were a few things that they could have fixed, and there were some deaths that I wish weren't that early. But other than that, the show is really awesome. Wait. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing right now? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Why in the world are there 2 bullets at the end of the credits? What the fuck? Hey guys, Chris Martinez here. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this Akame Ga Kill review. Don't forget to click that like button, and also, don't forget to share this video with all your fellow anime and otaku lovers out there. And if you guys want to, you can check out my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/pages/Chris Martinez. And don't forget to click that subscribe button for more content coming soon. And for now, you guys, stay frosty.